Hey, Scott from Aristocob.com here.
And Seth from SethMarkwood.com.
And he thought he had about a minute longer to prepare. It's the way we roll today. Welcome to Markwood Men's Breakfast Club. So together, the three of us, me and Boy and you, we are Markwood Men's Breakfast Club. Welcome back once again. Morning, Boy.
Good morning. We do look crooked.
I told you.
But I don't think we are. I don't know. If we're crooked, oops.
You can fix it in the mix, right?
Yeah, probably.
So, welcome back once again, and good to see you, Boy.
Thank you. You too.
So, we've been not talking about what we've been smoking, but today, just briefly, I want to mention we're smoking something new. This was recommended to us several weeks ago by Ohm Howard.
Okay.
He participates in the Cobb Foolery contest and has, I think, for all of them, makes some really clever pipes, and you should check out his channel. His videos are always really short, sweet, and kind of showing off his latest, greatest Cobb Foolery. And he made a comment about, hey, you guys should try Lane LL7. LL for Lane Limited, so Lane Limited 7, LL7. And he smokes it and says that if I like 1Q, I'll like this. So, first bowl, I didn't really care, it was like, it's okay. I can't say it's better than Lane 1Q. And then the next bowl was like, yeah, it's okay. And I don't know, I'm about 6 bowls in and I'm really starting to like it, starting to grow on me. So
You got a lot of it for something that you're uncertain of.
Well, I was taking his advice. Yeah, I got 6 ounces. And it is, by all the descriptions, it is a black Cavendish. I like black Cavendishes. I think it has a little more burley in it. His description says that it's chocolate, although I didn't see that in any official description. And at the
See that maybe.
what? TobaccoReviews.com, a number of them commented on a taste of chocolate. So
I'd be really, really interested in taking a class with a tobacco sommelier or the people that a blender, people that really just make up what these flavors are akin to figure out what the heck kind of flavor are they really. When you call it chocolate, what is the chocolate in tobacco actually taste like? Because it doesn't taste like the chocolate in chocolate. It doesn't taste like the chocolate in food. So when you say chocolate, you're talking about the acids, the tannins.
That really is a great question, because if you were to take cocoa and put it into this pipe and smoke it, you wouldn't want that taste.
Right. Right.
So how did they get a taste? I've tasted some that were absolutely artificial chocolate, like they took chocolate extract and put it into the tobacco, and it smelled wonderful, tasted horrible. So I'm not after that.
Every single time we've talked about this, about flavors and flavor profile, it makes me think about the thought experiment, the question, how do I know that what I see as purple is what someone on the other side of the world thinks of or sees as purple, right? Or even the person in the same room.
It is exactly what they see as purple, because they've grown up being told that color is purple.
But how do I know that their purple is my purple?
You don't know.
Right. And so if someone says chocolate, it is not what I think of when I think of chocolate. And so I would be really interested to get that kind of behind the curtain of just, okay, what do you actually mean? What do you really mean?
Okay, well, we weren't going to talk about that, but I think that's a really good point. I would love to do a class like that as well, or attend a class like that.
I can say that every single tobacco has some sort of flavor profile explanation like that. There have only been a handful that I can think of that I would say, yes, that is a chocolate flavor, or yes, that is a whatever the flavor is. I'm picking up on that. I know exactly what they were meaning to define here when they called it chocolate. Lots of times, it tastes like burning leaves.
Yeah. Well, I've mentioned before, I'm a taster. I taste things. When I eat food, I taste individual components of the food. I can tell if there's nutmeg in the food, or clove, or cinnamon, things like that. And you'd think that that would be true of tobacco as well, but it's not. So there's more going on because of the way it's also our olfactory nerves are involved in this process, in our taste.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It is curious. I'd love to know that too. But there are certainly some tobaccos I like and some that I don't like. And why? I like aromatic tobaccos. And so many people in the pipe smoking world do not care for. So
sorry for the diversion.
And I get the questions all the time asking me, "Hey, I'm new to pipe smoking. What do you recommend? What tobacco?" And I recommend you smoke all of it.
Yeah.
Try it all, because what I like, guaranteed, if I'm an evangelist and I'm pushing lane 1Q really hard, you're going to hate it. I would encourage you to try what you can.
It's a YouTube channel, Whiskey School, I think is the name of it. It's an actual school, marketing whiskey school, actual school in Austin. They have whiskey sommeliers, the very first whiskey sommeliers. I've talked about them before. They talk about whiskey. They say the best whiskey is the whiskey you like to drink. The best tobacco is the tobacco you like to smoke. I think is absolutely the case here.
Yeah, no doubt.
And you don't know what that is until you try different things and figure out for yourself.
My advice is always, if you have a local tobacconist, go in and ask them to share with you their most popular tobaccos. And if they're on the ball, if they know what they're doing, they're going to say, well, there are different categories of tobacco. So this is our most popular aromatic. This would be our most popular English. We also have these others. And if they're good, they'll guide you through that process. So, their most popular tobaccos, I would think that you would walk out of there with 4 to 6 blends. And if you buy just an ounce or 2, it's not going to set you back a bunch of money. And when you're done with that experiment, you'll know, I don't like tobaccos that contain a lot of Virginia or a lot of burley or Perique or whatever, and that will guide you in your discovery of your favorite tobacco, which may be my least favorite tobacco, and that's okay. So a couple of things I want to talk about, and first I'll just acknowledge that we're going to be filming several episodes today because I am forever on the road for the next 3 or 4 weeks. It'll be impossible for me to get together with Boy because I'll be out of the state, I'll be out of the country, Boy will be out of the country. We'll get into that detail, I think, maybe next week. So it's rare that I do this, but I've made some notes and I want to be sure we talk about these. So one of the things I want to mention is because of the way we have to kind of preload batches of videos, we are unable to be very prompt on topical things that happen in the YTPC, happen on the news, whatever. And I think 2 days after we filmed our last batch, Danny Shore died here in the YTPC. And so we didn't get a chance really to together respond to that event. And for all of those of you who knew and loved Danny, we share with you your grief, and you get our condolences. We'll dedicate this pipe of LL7 to Danny. Don't know if he liked it, but we do, and I think if nothing else, he'd appreciate that we're enjoying this bowl for him. I also, in that same period, lost the wife of a very dear friend of mine. I would say his wife is also my friend, but I'm closer to him because I work with him and get to spend a lot of time together. And I want to talk briefly about that loss because it was interesting also what happened at her funeral, and just talk about a few points about that, and then we'll move on to next week if that's okay.
Sounds great.
Also, just to get this out of the way, I want to talk about last week's question of the week. You asked an interesting question.
Yes, I did. And we got some interesting answers, too.
So the question was, if you could fill a swimming pool with anything, and
any one thing,
and then if you could jump into that pool from 30 feet in the air and survive, 35 feet. Oh, well, that might change my answer. And survive, you could keep the contents of the pool, what would you have that pool filled with? And did you ever come up with your final answer?
No. I don't know. I can't remember how many of the proposed answers I threw out there. I think that there are some variables that I would want more information on. Like, do I get to choose where the pool is? I think I said that, but if I do, that might change what I fill it with.
And then the pool might be 35 feet up too.
No, but if you're in a place where the contents could be more valuable because of regionality or location, then that might change what you put in there. As far as the combination of valuable and safe, that I think hits pretty evenly on both, is some sort of expensive whiskey, like some sort of expensive liquid that's going to be safe to jump into, that you could then take and resell.
How about a pool full of whiskey and those little ultra absorbent balls, little Orby things?
Except it can only be one thing.
Yeah, whiskey balls.
Yeah,
It's a new product we're coming out with.
I wonder, anybody out there willing, here's free content, because I don't want to do it. You should get some Orbeez and some whiskey, let the Orbeez soak the whiskey up, and then let them dry out and drink what comes out. Because I wonder what whiskey filtered through Orbeez would taste like, actually.
You wonder that, really?
I wonder enough that I'd be willing to watch a video of one of you doing it. Yeah.
All right. Well,
we've
basically have to
done.
distill it. Then you'd have to have the balls evaporate the whiskey out and then capture that evaporation,
Right.
the condensation.
Well, those, they do. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. It probably would end up being higher proof, but it's not whiskey at that point.
It ended up tasting like filtered alcohol.
Right. Yeah, it's probably not great.
Filtered through little plastic balls. Okay, so here's some of the answers we received. Brent Richards says, I'd fill it full of crumpled $100 bills or whatever the highest denomination is. That's good. That's a really good one. Brian Fisher says, bamboo pillows. At $30 to $50 per pillow, I'd feel good with that choice. And side note, he loves the Morgan Nose Warmer. We like it too. That's what you're smoking there, boy.
It is.
Hey, speaking of Ohm Howard, he says he would fill it with Penzance tobacco. He said, and if I survived, I'd sell it on eBay a little at a time.
Yep. Good choice.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to let the world know you have a pool full of it. You want to sell it off slowly. Really smart. Let's see. Henry Sims. Alfred says that he would fill it with pizza with extra mozzarella cheese. He's going to die, but he's going to go out happy and in pain.
I think pizza would be pretty forgiving.
Are they frozen pizzas? Or are they
that is
room
the question.
temperature pizzas?
Yeah, are they hot? Are you jumping into? Like sometimes you bite into pizza and it's like cheesy lava. You wouldn't want to jump into that.
If they're room temperature pizzas that are placed vertically, like this, so you could actually dive in and insert yourself between them.
Well, again, you're thinking pool depth. You're going to have layers upon layers upon layers of pizza. You could have, if you do like room temperature pizza, like you've left it out overnight and you eat it off the counter, even though it's probably gross and bug infested and germ infested, you don't care because you're in college or you're an adult and you can do what you want. Whatever. Don't judge me, Mom. Something like that. Then it's a good temperature.
I'm looking out in my backyard. I have a tree down. I didn't even know that.
I saw it. I was wondering what happened.
There's trees down all over this neighborhood. We had a storm blow through here. These are ornamental, small trees that line the noisy road behind us. And those trees are actually maintained by the neighborhood. So, wow, I didn't know that was down. Okay, another one. Surly Bill says that he would also fill it with crumpled $100 bills. Corey H says he would fill the pool with oil. Now I have questions about that. Motor oil, fuel oil, olive oil. What kind of oil are we talking about here?
Baby oil.
Baby oil.
And how many babies would you have to squeeze to get enough oil to fill a pool? So many babies.
Probably 2 pools full of babies.
Yeah. You could fill the pool
Okay.
with babies.
So Pied Piper said he would fill it with scorpion venom. And I said, okay, that's an interesting choice. You might want to speak to somebody about that. Well, he came back with a great answer. He said, at $34,626,000 per gallon, I would take the risk.
Dang. Yep, that's a winner. Somebody, here's what I need to know. Did you know the value of scorpion venom before or after you Googled most valuable liquid?
Now, the other question then is, I think just like the Penzance, you'd have to let the world know slowly that you have that. You wouldn't want anyone to know.
You don't want to flood the market.
Yeah, supply and demand. Iron Rails and Pipe Dreams says, oh, he didn't answer the question. He didn't answer the question. Okay, he was just commenting on the pipes we were smoking that day. And then James Lurch said, Lane 1Q. I like the way you think there, James.
So, again, thinking beyond the parameters of the question, it doesn't really doesn't seem to be a limit on what you can put in it. So why not something like dinosaur blood to be able to go Jurassic Park and revive the dinosaurs? Or just dinosaurs?
Well, it's your question. Can it be something fictitious or something that's...
I put no constraint on the question. We'll say evil capitalist part of my brain says you take it to a place like Detroit and fill it with just water, clean water.
So Detroit or some
or
desert
Africa or someplace, yeah. That's where the do you get to decide where the pool is comes into play.
So then the question is, would you be able to sell the water, or would people just hate you because you put your big old body in a bunch of water that they could have had?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a neener kind of move.
Neener, okay.
Yeah. No, you don't sell it at that point. That's just all for ego. You make a YouTube video about it. You invite Logan Paul, the Paul brothers, to come make a
contaminating water in Detroit.
The only clean drinking water in Detroit. Hashtag Orbeez party. Oh, this has gone off the rails.
Yeah, and I'm so glad we're going to now transition to my friend's funeral. All right, so a little bit about my friend, Ken Briscoe, as we call him. And in fact, Briscoe has been on this very channel before because he entered one of my contests when I did one about telling a joke. And I'll find a link to Ken's video and put it down below. Dear friend, I've known him for about 20 years, and we work at the same company. And my first trip to Germany in 2001 was for 3 weeks, and along with me was Ken. And so we really hit it off then and have been good buddies ever since. He and his family are from St. Louis, but for several years he was based out of North Carolina. And he's my buddy that I could almost count on every weekend getting a phone call saying, hey, you want to run to Home Depot? And he's not unhandy, he's just not experienced in a lot of home stuff. And so he always appreciated just another eye, another ear. And so when they decided to move back to St. Louis, when he took another role in our company, I helped him get their house ready for sale. And he had termites, so we replaced some trim, we replaced parquet flooring, we did vinyl flooring. He and his daughter and I installed a new water heater in their house. And so lots and lots of just home stuff. And his wife, Kathy, was the sweetest gal. She homeschooled their 3 daughters, and his daughters all impressed me different ways. They're all so different than one another. Anna, the middle daughter, was the one that would help us do all these crafts and things at the house. And his youngest daughter, Elena, is like super artistic. She has, I don't think I'm exaggerating. She has tens of thousands of followers on Pinterest, and she's kind of a fashion influencer, and she does drawings that are kind of anime style, but with clothing. And it's been a while since I've looked on her Pinterest feed, but I remember when I found out about it, just being blown away not only by the quality of it, but by how many people she has that love her work. And oldest daughter, Amy. She is married to a young man that we call Chad. Of course, his name is not Chad. And they're both really sweet people as well. And they all kind of fell off the Facebook map over the course of the last 2 years as their mom became ill with cancer. And they're very strong in their faith, but obviously they were losing somebody who was dear to them. And the fact that she homeschooled them, they were all super, super close with Kathy. Kathy was probably one of the most voracious readers I know, and you almost couldn't have a conversation with her where she wasn't going to recommend a book or an author to you. And I've read several books that she had recommended to me. I read books that Ken recommended because Kathy told him to read them and he thought I would enjoy them. And when they moved from North Carolina, I forget how many years ago, probably 12, 15 years ago, she introduced you to somebody.
Yeah, so she's the one that gave me Ender's Game, which is ultimately where our son's name comes from. So,
your son, Game Markwood?
That's right. That's right. Yes.
Well, I'm game if he's game.
That's right.
Yeah. So, at the viewing, Ken had told me that they had scheduled the funeral home had scheduled the visitation to be, I think it was 6 hours. 5 hours was officially announced, and the first hour was family. And he was a little concerned that maybe that was going to be too long. Place was packed. I don't know if you even take a head count or something like that. People sign guest books and all, and there were hundreds and hundreds of people. And these are people, many of which knew and loved Kathy, but many of them who know and love Ken and his girls, and know that if they didn't know Kathy, whoever she was, she had to be somebody pretty special. And every single one of them had people around them that were loving on them and showing their support. But for me, one of the neatest moments, I'm still sporting my cane, and I can only stand for so long. And I was sitting down when all of a sudden I noticed, I think it was 6 Amish guys come walking in. And I recognized them because I had visited them. They were cabinet makers from Arthur, Illinois. I'm getting choked up. These guys hired a driver to drive them, I think it's 170 miles from Arthur to St. Louis, just so they could pay their respects to Ken. And I got up and said hey to them because I'd met them before. I did some training in Illinois on LED lighting, of all things. And I think I've mentioned before, I was blown away then because they don't use electricity so much, but yet I underestimated them. They use LED lighting all the time. They use it on their buggies because they're required to have lights by law. And they were way ahead of what I knew. And so I went over to talk to them while they were waiting in line to talk to Ken. And they said to me exactly what I was feeling. And they said, Ken's really special to us. And he had been their sales rep for many years and is now the sales manager of the rep that's in that area. And he stays in touch. And I have visited their shops with Ken, and he loves them and they love him back. And they know that he's there to care for them and that he's not there just to make a sale. And they have such a sweet relationship. And to see these guys going out of their way like that to show their respect and to pay their well, anyway, it was really, really neat and powerful for me to see. There were about a dozen of my coworkers, and these were people who also flew in and drove in from all over to be there. And I heard from many others that wished they could be there. And the last story I'll tell you about that was there was a gentleman who came in, an elderly gentleman came in shorts and dressed very casually, and kind of stands out. And Ken asked me later if I saw him and if I had heard what his story was. And I have no idea. Well, he said that one of his employees called his uncle and said, "I'm not going to be able to make it to Kathy's funeral. Would you mind please going and paying my respects to Ken?" And he said, "You'll remember Ken because 2 years ago when your wife died, he came to her funeral." So
Wow.
he came to remind Ken of that and to say that, it gets better, and
Wow.
we're here for you and we have you in our prayers.
That's incredible.
So anyway,
Wow.
as those things go, very, very sad, but she was a woman of very strong faith and believes, as I do, that there's more to this life than just this life, and we're excited and look forward to seeing her again.
Wow.
So that's what I've done since I've seen you last. So we probably wrap this up, unless you have anything else you'd like to add, boy.
I don't think so. Yeah, like we mentioned, there's going to be some travel, so we're going to hammer out a few more videos quickly. So, they may or may not be shorter than this. We was planning on that, but that doesn't happen.
We don't have time to do a short video.
Yeah. But yeah, between the next few weeks, if we are out of touch, that is the reason why, on other social platforms as well. I'm sure he'll be posting things on Instagram.
Well, we'll talk about that next week, about what we're actually doing. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah,
In
we
the
went
meantime.
whole gamut of emotions on this one. So thank you guys for watching. We will see you next week.
All right. Make it a great week.